All right, how we doing, everybody? I'm Andy Malfrino. This is Drag the Lake, and we are going to do an album review for the new Rat Boy album, Suburbia Calling. I just finished up the full album reaction, so you could go to the DTL R&R channel and check that out if you want. If not, just stay put here and we'll talk about the album. So I just finished listening to it. I've only listened to the album once, so keep that in mind when you're hearing it. This is just when you're hearing this is just my initial reactions to everything going on in this album. I've never heard Rat Boy before. Before I did a reaction to their song Mob Mentality the other day, and I got real hyped up on it because it reminded me of a bunch of ska music I listened to a bunch back in the day. So it got me really excited to listen to this album. So I've never listened to Rat Boy before, pretty much before like 3 days ago. So also keep that in mind with this review. But yeah, right off the bat, this album hits you real hard. It has like a heavy ska influence, but it doesn't go like hardcore into the ska. It just has like the ska flavor the whole time. It gave off real, like, when you hear a lot of ska bands like the Interrupters or Rancid on And Out Come the Wolves and shit like that, where they have that like heavy ska influence but no horns and stuff, or maybe not necessarily no horns, because I think there's a good amount of Interrupters and probably some Rancid songs. I'm not as familiar with Rancid as I should be for a guy who reviews music publicly on the internet. But regardless, I'm sure there's a few horns here and there in both bands. But generally speaking, they're one of those ska bands where it's just like the, drums, bass, and guitar, a little bit of piano here and there. And when you have that structure, it like forces you to go into slightly different routes and stuff like that. And in my mind, creates a more creates a more interesting environment as opposed to the traditional ska stuff that we're used to. I'm not knocking that stuff. It's not as much variety over there sometimes. Maybe I don't listen to enough. I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments being like, well, you have to check out the fucking the Mustard Sausage Brigade, and they really fucking make it. Okay, fine, fair enough. Comment down below if I'm missing something. But for my personal taste, when the bands when they stick to like a standard 4-piece and they go in the ska direction, it comes off a little more interesting from time to time. That being said, there's been plenty of ska bands like Streetlight Manifesto, Big D and the Kids Table, Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake. A lot of bands I really fucking fuck with. But, I think for repeat listens, I get down with stuff like this a little bit more. That being said, I can't stop listening to Big D will go, this is a sidebar, Big D and the Kids Table will go down as the most underappreciated ska band. They were the fucking best. And then Streetlight Rips. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, regardless, stuff like this gets me amped because I think there's a lot of creativity in this shit. So that got me hooked initially out of the gate on Rat Boy and their album Suburbia Calling. And they do a real fun mix of like ska, punk, pop punk, a lot of like sort of this like British indie sound. So it's like you can never pigeonhole them to one specific genre, but throughout each song there's like multiple influences going on in every song, with what seems like to me the intention of being a more pop-friendly band. From a songwriting standpoint, though, it just reminds you of a bunch of stuff you used to listen to back in the day, like, when you were playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater in fucking high school and shit like that. So it reminds you a lot of that, but they create a lot of variety through their music, and they also take these genres, these like late 90s, early 2000s genres that we're used to, and create a modern spin. Because a lot of bands, this is unfortunate I'm 34 and realizing like a lot of those bands with their sound, it didn't necessarily age well, and that stuff's becoming a more like a period piece or a nostalgia act. So to hear a band like Rat Boy take those genres and throw a more modern twist on it, it makes me very happy, and it gives me hope that these genres can live on and not just be a nostalgia thing. You know what I'm saying? For people in my age range and shit like that, for millennials like me. Yeah, so I like that a lot. It's a really chill album. It's an album you could throw on at a party. and just vibe the fuck out. It has really good pacing, starting off big, and then we got a nice chill section, and then we bring it up at the end. My only complaint is, like, I was getting real hyped because it was reminding me of older albums, like, because I feel like back when I was younger, there was a lot more 45-minute albums, just with the way people were consuming things. I think people were, we're spending more money. Now you just get a Spotify subscription, the shit pops up, you fucking save it, you're like, I'll probably check it out later. So it makes sense why bands are more prone to doing the 20 or 30-minute album, because the album itself, like now, like back in the day, you'd tour to advertise the album and then you'd make a shit ton of money off the album. Now, the album is advertised, the album and the music videos, they're advertising to go to the tour where they sell a bunch of t-shirts and shit and make a bunch of money there. So it's kind of like flip-flop, which it's kind of reverse. So the incentives on bands to make longer albums are not there the same way. So the fact that this was 45 minutes, it gave me, it kind of like brought me back to how things were when I was in like middle school and high school. But that, while that's happening, it reminded me though, oh yeah, on those albums in the last 15 minutes, that's where like sort of the slump in the energy and the pacing of the album happens. I was hoping it wouldn't, and that would be like my only minor complaint about this album. I want you guys to go listen to it. I want you to check it out. But it reminded me of like, oh yeah, that's what would happen on listening to all those albums. You get to the last 15 minutes and it just kind of like peters out. Because it's hard to, it's hard to have that that strong energy for a full 45 minutes. It's not a lot of bands can do it. So it's like, I don't fault them for it. And it's not even that like big of a complaint. It's just a thing I noticed that I want to point out. And it's really starting to make me realize like 30 minutes is all you need. If you're a band and you're watching this and you're trying to like, oh, we need a couple more dude, 30 minutes, get in there, get out, leave them wanting more, save those extra songs for an EP down the line. You don't need to do the whole 45. 30 is perfect. So, yeah, my only complaint would be like maybe shave off. Maybe it would have been better to shave off a few songs at the end and just keep this a tight 30, 35 minutes. But besides that, and my only other complaint is they reeled me in with the ska and then sort of middle of the album to the end, that all that kind of fades away. It's still really good music. It's just I was hoping for a really good ska pop album, and then towards the end of it just ends up being a good pop rock album, which is not bad. It's just, and I understand, I sometimes get annoyed with people where they're like, I expected it to be this, and you go, why did you expect that? And they don't really have a strong argument of why they expected that. But I will say, sort of getting reeled in with such a heavy ska sound and then abandoning that, not to sound dramatic or nothing, but then kind of abandoning it a little bit halfway through did bum me out a little bit as a person who wants more quality ska music. It did bum me out. So those are my two minor complaints for the album. Probably didn't need the last 3 songs, and I really wish they would have kept the ska energy throughout the album. But that being said, if you actually shave off the last 3 songs, then you have much more ska energy throughout the whole album. So really take the 3 songs off, and now my other complaint isn't really there. So really at the end of the day, my only problem with this album is like, just you didn't need to do a whole 45. But besides that, it's really fucking good. It's really upbeat. It's really fun. It sounds nice. It like, for me being 34, it gave me this like I was saying before, it gave me a nostalgic sense because it reminded me of all this shit I used to listen to in middle school and high school. But at the same time, it didn't feel dated. It sounded like a modern product. So it's that element of it was extremely impressive. You can go watch the full album reaction. I go through all that, just jerking them off the whole fucking time. But yeah, it was all very impressive. I enjoyed this album a whole fucking lot. So if you haven't checked it out, go listen to Suburbia Calling by Rat Boy. You won't be disappointed. All right. Thank you for watching. I'm going to try to pump out a bunch more reviews this week because there's a lot of music I want to listen to. So if you want to see the reactions, go to the DTL R&R channel. If you want to see the reviews, subscribe to here. Also, we got a podcast. You guys know the fucking drill. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Have a good one. Be about it. Peace.